Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
So yesterday we have seen the theorem, this theorem. Let u1t, u2t, unt be solutions of equation. This is a homogeneous nth order homogeneous equation. Then the following statements are equivalent. There are three statements given. The set u1t, unt is linearly dependent. B is Wt is equal to 0. Wronskian is equal to 0 for some t, and third statement was Wronskian is equal to 0 for all t. Right? So yesterday we have proved this theorem. Okay. So any doubt in this? Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Now we will go forward. Lecture. So we have to see the next theorem. That was theorem 3.4. Now theorem 3.5. Next theorem we will see. Theorem 3.5. If unt are linearly independent solutions, are linearly independent solutions of equation. Again the same equation. So what is that? Pnt u t plus n plus so on p0 t u of t is equal to 0. Then every solution ut of above equation of this star, again I will say, or say equation 1 of equation 1, actually it is my 3.4 dash. Equation 1 can be written in the form ut is equal to c1 u1t plus c2 u2t plus and so on cn unt for some constants c1 c2 cn. What this theorem says that if u1t unt are linearly independent solutions of this nth order homogeneous equation, then every solution ut of equation 1 can be written as linear combination of, this is nothing but linear combination of that n solutions, right? Linear combination of that n solutions for some constant c1 c2 cn. Is that okay?
Yes.
So we will give the proof. Let ut is equal to now what is given here? U1t, unt are linearly independent solutions, and we want to prove every solution ut. So ut is a solution. and we want to prove ut can be written as linear combination of that n solutions. Okay, so let ut be solution of equation 1. Equation 1. Now, since u1t, u2t, unt are linearly dependent, are not linearly dependent, linearly independent. What can I say about Wronskian? Then, what can I say about Wronskian? Wronskian of that u1t, u2t, unt. If they are dependent, we seen the theorem, previous theorem, that Wronskian is equal to 0 for some t and for all t, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now here it is linearly independent. So what can I say about Wronskian?
Wronskian not equal to 0.
Must be non-zero, right?
Non-zero.
Yeah. For t is equal to a plus 1, and so on. Then the system of equation, then the system of equations C1 U1 at instead of t I will write a, C1 U1 at a plus C2 U2 at a plus and so on, Cn Un at a is equal to u at a, C1 U1 at a plus 1 plus C2 U2 at a plus 1 plus and so on, Cn Un at a plus 1 is equal to, that will be nothing but my, what will see here, ut is nothing but, we are saying we want to show it can be written as C1 U1 t, C2 U2 t, Cn Un t. We want to write ut in this form. So since Wronskian is 0, I will have system of n equations in n unknowns. So say C1 U1 at a, C2 U2 at a, Cn Un at a, and that is nothing but my u at a. C1 U1 at a plus 1 plus C2 U2 at a plus 1 plus Cn Un at a plus 1 is nothing but my u at a plus 1, and so on. Last equation I can write as C1 U1 at a plus n minus 1 plus and so C2 U2 a plus n minus 1 plus and so on, Cn Un a plus n minus 1 is equal to u at a plus n minus 1. What can I say about this system of equations? We are having Wronskian is non-zero. Wronskian is non-zero. Then what can I say about this system of non-homogeneous equations? It must has a unique solution. Then the system of equations must have a unique solution, right?
Yes.
C1 up to Cn. If it is homogeneous, then this is non-homogeneous system and Wronskian is non-zero. Therefore, it must have a unique solution, and which is what is that solution? Is nothing but C1, C2, Cn. Now we know that solution of equation 1 solution of equation 1 is uniquely determined by its values at t is equal to a plus 1 and so on. So we must have what we must have, ut must be equal to c1 u1 at t plus c2 u2 at t plus and so on cn un at t, right? And that will be for all t. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
These equations are satisfied for a plus 1, a plus n minus 1. But we know that this solution of equation 1, homogeneous equation 1, solution of homogeneous equation has unique solution which will be determined by its values at t is equal to a plus 1 and so on. Therefore, it must have solution ut is that ut should be expressed as c1 u1 at t plus c2 u2 at t plus and so on cn un at t. That will be for all t, where my t is nothing but t takes the values a plus 1, a plus 2 and so on. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Just we have to use the step that since linearly independent, Wronskian is non-zero. Since Wronskian is non-zero, there will be a system of n equations in n unknowns, which will have unique solution. That is only the key for this, for the proof of this theorem. Okay. So what we learned from these two theorems, like previous theorem 3.4. This one was my 3.4. Just a minute. Hello. हाँ बोलो ना. अभी तो उनको लेक्चर चालू है, वो विद्यापीठ गए. ठीक है हाँ. Okay, so this from theorem 3.4, what we know, if solutions of homogeneous equations, nth order homogeneous equations are linearly dependent, then Wronskian must be 0 for all t. And from this theorem, what we know, if they are linearly independent, Wronskian is non-zero, and every solution of this nth order equation can be written in terms of linear combination of that n solutions. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So now show that there is example. Show that or okay, we will see this example later because we don't know how to find the solution. So we will see this later. Okay, example after this theorem. Okay, so this completes our unit 1. This was up to here. It was 3.2, section 3.2. So this completes our unit 1. Now unit 2 starts from solving linear equations. So We'll add unit 2. Okay, so we will start next section, section 3.3. Solving linear equations. Now from here onwards we will see how to solve linear equations. There will be methods solving linear equations. So consider nth order linear difference equation. Consider nth order linear difference equation. What is that linear difference equation? We can write with constant coefficients. Okay, here first we will see with constant coefficients, then we will see for variable coefficients with constant coefficients. As follows. U at t plus n plus pn minus 1 at u plus t plus n minus 1 and so on. P0 u at t is equal to 0. Nth order homogeneous. Consider nth order homogeneous linear difference equation with constant coefficient. We know that 3.4 nth order linear difference equation we have seen it is given by Pn at t, u at t plus n and so on. P0 at t, ut is equal to 0. If it is homogeneous, it is RT is 0, right? This was our nth order homogeneous equation where PNT, Pn minus 1t, P0t, these are any functions of t. Now, we are seeing how to solve these equations. So, in particular, now we want to see first if this PNT, P0t are just constants. So, we are saying here PNT is nothing but say just Pn constant and P0t is say just P0, where this Pn minus 1, these are nothing but my P0 are constants. And we know that if it is nth order means Pn must be non-zero, right? So if Pn is non-zero, so this equation, what was this equation our 3.4 dash? It will turn to, if these are constants, we can write this as Pn u at t plus n, Pn minus 1 u at t plus n minus 1 and so on. P0 at u at t is equal to 0, where these are constants, right? And Pn must be non-zero. If Pn is non-zero, I can divide this equation by Pn, right? On both sides, I can divide by Pn. So this will transform to u at t plus n plus this Pn minus 1 upon Pn u at t plus n minus 1 plus and so on P0 upon Pn u at t, which is equal to 0. Now instead of saying this is as Pn minus 1 dash, this will be another constant, right? Pn minus 1 is constant, Pn is constant. So if I divide Pn minus 1 by Pn, I will have another constant, right? So I can say it is Pn minus 1 dash, but instead of doing all that things, and here P0 divided by Pn will be another constant. So I can say this can be written as U at t plus n, Pn minus 1 dash U at t plus n minus 1, and so on. This will be some, say, P0 dash ut is equal to 0, where this Pn minus 1 dash P0 dash are some constant. So instead of saying dash, we are writing this nth order homogeneous linear difference equation with constant coefficients as like this. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so we are not writing here Pn because Pn is non-zero, and we assume that we have divided by each term by Pn, and we have got new coefficients, and that coefficients are nothing but Pn minus 1, Pn minus 2, and up to P0. Is that okay?
Yes.
So I will cut this and I will keep that below. This will be just rough work, okay? So this is up to here, this is just rough work. So now consider nth order homogeneous linear difference equation with constant coefficients. Its general form we can write like this, okay? And where 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 P0, P1 up to Pn minus 1 are constants with P0 is non-zero, okay? And Pn, since it is Pn is, since it is 1, right? We are not writing here. That is usually non-zero. So it will become my nth order linear homogeneous difference equation. Okay, so we usually denote it by 3.6. Consider this 3.6. Now there are some definitions. How we solve a linear homogeneous differential equation? By finding characteristic polynomial and finding its characteristic roots. So we can find its complementary functions, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so similar also here, also the same thing, only solutions will be different. So first we will see what is definition. The polynomial lambda raised to n plus Pn minus 1 lambda raised to n minus 1 and so on, P0 is called the characteristic polynomial of equation 3.6. 6. Okay, this is called as characteristic polynomial. This is first definition. Second definition is the equation lambda raised to n plus Pn minus 1 lambda raised to n minus 1 up to P0, which is equal to 0, is called, what is called as characteristic equation. Characteristic equation for the equation 3.6. And see the solutions. How many solutions this polynomial will have? This is polynomial, nth order polynomial, right, in lambda with constant coefficients. So how many solutions it will have? How many solutions it will have?
And solutions.
At most solutions. At most jastit jast n solutions. Okay, different solutions. Lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k of the characteristic equation are called as characteristic roots. Why I am writing here lambda k? Because there may be some roots that might be repeated. Okay, but how many different, at most n different characteristic roots we can have for this nth order polynomial. Okay, so now we want to see the theorem. Can you see? Can you understand this? For example, say lambda square plus 2 lambda plus 1 is equal to 0 has how many character? If this is the characteristic equation, how many characteristic roots it will have?
2. 2 roots.
2 roots, but that is repeated, na? Lambda plus 1 bracket square is equal to 0. This implies lambda is equal to minus 1 minus 1. These are means lambda 1 is nothing but minus 1, lambda 2 is nothing but minus 1. Or I can say lambda 1 is equal to minus 1 is the characteristic root for the characteristic equation. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, if it is third order, it will have 3 roots, maximum 3 roots, different roots. Otherwise, it will have repeated roots. So now we will see the theorem. Theorem 3.6. Suppose that the equation 3.6 means my u at t plus n plus pn minus 1 u at t plus n minus 1 and so on p0 u at t is equal to 0 where p0 is non-zero and pn minus 1 pn minus 2 and up to p0 are constants. This is my equation. I will call this equation 1 or this is my 3.6. Okay. Suppose that the equation has characteristic roots lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k with multiplicities say alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha k, alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha k respectively. Then equation 1 has n independent solutions given by lambda 1 raised to t times lambda 1 raised to t and so on t raised to alpha 1 minus 1 lambda 1 raised to t comma lambda 2 raised to t times lambda 2 raised to t and so on t times alpha 2 minus 1 lambda 2 raised to t and so on lambda t raised to k lambda k raised to t should be k raised to t times lambda k raised to t and so on t raised to alpha k minus 1 lambda k raised to t. Okay, so what this theorem says that this I will write 3.6 only instead of 1 I will write 3.6 only. What this theorem says that if I am having nth order linear homogeneous equation, this one 3.6, and it has characteristic roots as lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k with different multiplicities, say alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha k respectively, then equation 1 has n independent solutions. Which one are they? Lambda 1 raised to t, lambda 1 raised to t raised to alpha 1 minus 1, lambda 1 raised to t, then lambda 2 raised to t times lambda 2 raised to t and so on, t raised to alpha 2 minus 1, lambda 2 raised to t, and similarly for lambda k. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
What is addition of alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha k? These are how many roots? These are alpha 1 roots. Sorry, alpha 1 solutions. This is 1. This is 2. This is alpha 1. Right? Okay. So these are alpha 1 solutions. Similarly, these are nothing but alpha 2 solutions. And these are dot 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 will be there. This will be nothing but alpha k solutions. So where what is alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha k? Addition. What should be it? If they are characteristic roots, lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k are nothing but characteristic roots, and alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha k are nothing but multiplicities. So what can I say about addition of multiplicities? Can anybody tell? What is mean by multiplicity? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you familiar with roots and their multiplicities? So if I am having third order equation, say lambda 3 square root 5 raised to 4 is equal to 0. Suppose if I simplify, I will have here which order polynomial I will have here if I multiply this?
9.
2 plus 3, 5. 5 plus 4, 9. Right? Here with I will have some 9th degree polynomial. And if its roots are like this, so lambda 1 is nothing but my 3, lambda 2 is nothing but my 2, lambda 3 is nothing but my 5. And what is my alpha 1? Alpha 1 is multiplicity of this lambda 1. It is 2.
2,
What is alpha 2 here?
3.
Multiplicity of second root means it is 3. What is alpha 3? It is 4.
4.
Right? So these are nothing but multiplicities. So what can I say about alpha 1, alpha 2 plus alpha 3? It is nothing but 9. So what, that is nothing but my degree of the polynomial. Right. So if I am having 9th degree polynomial here, and if it has say 3 different roots, lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 with 3 different multiplicities, say alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, but that alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus alpha 3 must be equal to 9, right? That alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3 will be the degree of the polynomial. So what should be here? Alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha k is equal to what? This is my nth order linear homogeneous difference equation. So its characteristic polynomial will be of degree n, right?
Yes.
Lambda raised to n plus some pn minus 1, lambda raised to n minus 1 plus and so on, p0 is equal to 0, and whatever roots it will have, like so. So these are the multiplicities. So I must have here alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus alpha k is equal to n, right? Are you following?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I can write again here. This can be a characteristic polynomial for equation 3.6 will be can be written as lambda raised to n plus pn minus 1 lambda raised to n minus 1 and so on. P0 is equal to 0, and we have given that lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k are characteristic roots. So I can write this polynomial is equal to lambda 1 lambda minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 lambda minus lambda 2 raised to alpha 2 product. So lambda minus lambda k raised to alpha k is equal to 0. So lambda 1 is lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k are my characteristic roots with multiplicities alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha k, and where alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus alpha k must be equal to n, because degree of that polynomial is n. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is rough work. I will keep here only for your reference. So now we want to show that this equation, if lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k are the characteristic roots with multiplicities alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha k, then equation this 3.6, equation 3.6 has n independent solutions, and that can be written as like this. Okay, so we have to prove this theorem now. So proof. Uh, Given nth order homogeneous linear difference equation is, what is that? U at t plus n plus pn minus 1 u at t plus n minus 1 and so on p0 u at t is equal to 0. Now if I want to write this in terms of shift operator, how I can write? Rewriting above equation in terms of shift operator. What is shift operator?
E.
E. So if I want to rewrite this above equation in terms of shift operator, how I will write? E raised to
E
n
raised to n e of t. E of t.
plus
E
pn
raised
minus
t.
1 e raised to
E raised
n
to n minus 1.
at t and so on p0 e raised to 0, right? U at t is equal to 0, or this I can write as e raised to n plus pn minus 1 is constant, e raised to n minus 1 and so on p0. E raised to 0 is identity operator, right? So I am not writing anything there. Operated on u of t is equal to 0. Is that okay? I can write like this. Now what is given? What is given now? Lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k are nothing but characteristic roots. So this nth degree polynomial I can write as e minus lambda 1 and with multiplicity alpha 1. E minus lambda 2. What is the multiplicity of lambda 2? It is alpha 2 into e minus lambda k raised to alpha k operated on u of t is equal to 0. Is that okay? I can write like this. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes. So give number 1 or 2 for this equation. I have written 3.6, so I will give here number 1, where alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus and so on alpha k is nothing but n, and the order of the factor is factors is immaterial. Okay, here order of the factor is immaterial. You write lambda 2 first, means e minus lambda 2 raised to alpha 2 you write first, or e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 second you write, no matter. Okay, because this is just a product, immaterial. So note that now each characteristic root is non-zero. Right? Note that each characteristic root is non-zero. Why a characteristic root is non-zero? Each characteristic root is non-zero. If one of them is zero, what will happen? What will happen? Why each characteristic root should be non-zero here? Because this P0 is given to be non-zero. What is P0?
Constant.
P0 is the last coefficient in the nth degree polynomial, and that is nothing but what? It will be nothing but determinant, right? Determinant of eigenvalues. Eigenvalues are nothing but lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k. And what is the relation between determinant and eigenvalues? This last coefficient is nothing but product of eigenvalues, this lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k. So if P0 is non-zero means my each root must be non-zero, right? Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Root is non-zero since P0 is non-zero, because what is my P0? P0 is nothing but lambda 1 into lambda 2 into lambda k, right? Because these are the roots of that polynomial. So P0 is nothing but, and which is non-zero. So each lambda k must be non-zero. This implies each lambda k must be non-zero. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Now consider the equation e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 operated on u of t is equal to 0. First we will solve this equation. Say it is number 2. So whatever solution of equation 2 will be obviously solution of equation 1. E minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 ut is equal to 0. One of the product, no? This e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1, e minus lambda 2 raised to alpha 2 into e minus lambda k raised to alpha k. So I am considering e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 operated on ut is equal to 0. If I am having solution of this, that equation 2, then that should be solution of equation 1 also. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then clearly solution of equation 2 will also be solution of equation 1 Now if alpha 1 is equal to 1, then equation 2 becomes, what it becomes? E minus lambda 1 raised to 1. If alpha 1 is equal to 1, then it will become E minus lambda 1 raised to 1 ut is equal to 0, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And what is the solution of this equation then? Can I solve? What will be this? E of ut minus lambda 1 ut is equal to 0. That is, what is E of ut? It is u at
T
t plus 1
T plus
is
1.
equal to lambda 1 times ut. So can we solve this equation? This is first order linear difference equation, right? First order linear homogeneous difference equation, and we have already solved this. What is, which has the solution? What is the solution? Solution ut is equal to, what is the solution? This is nothing but my p of t, na? So lambda 1 raised to t. We have already seen this, right? In first section of this third chapter, 3.1. In 3.1, we have seen how to solve this linear homogeneous first order difference equation, right? So its solution must be given by ut is equal to lambda 1 raised to t. Whether we have solved or not. So if alpha 1 is equal to 1, ut must be lambda 1 raised to t. Now if alpha 1 is strictly greater than 1. Now how to solve this equation 2 then? If alpha 1 is strictly greater than 1, if alpha 1 is strictly greater than 1, let ut is equal to say lambda 1 raised to t into say v of t. Now my aim is to find, let ut is equal to lambda 1 raised to t into vt. Then solution of equation 2 of solution of equation 2. Now my aim is to find what should be my v of t. Then e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 ut can be written as e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1. What is my ut? We are substituting lambda 1 raised to t into vt. Is that okay? Which I
Yes.
can write as, now if I expand with the binomial coefficient, binomial formula, this is nothing but summation I is equal to 0 to alpha 1 I alpha 1 ci minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 minus I into e raised to I. That is nothing but my binomial expansion of this e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1, and it is operated on lambda 1 raised to t v of t as it is. Is that okay? E minus lambda 1 raised to n, binomial expansion I is equal to 0 to n nci, this minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 minus I e raised to I. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
By binomial expansion. Or using binomial expansion. Using binomial expansion. So what can I write here? Summation I is equal to 0 to alpha 1 alpha 1 ci minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 minus I. And what is e raised to I lambda 1 raised to t? E is a shift operator. E raised to n lambda 1 raised to t is nothing but lambda 1 raised to t plus I. E raised to I v of t as it is. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
E raised to I operated on lambda 1 raised to t is nothing but lambda 1 raised to t plus I. E raised to I v of t as it is. Which is equal to now minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 minus I, and here lambda 1 raised to t plus I. So if I write minus 1 raised to this, I can I will write I is equal to 0 to alpha 1 ci minus 1 raised to alpha 1 minus I lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 minus I lambda 1 raised to t plus I e to the power I operated on v of t. Is that okay? I have just separated minus 1 from here. And now for this both, lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 minus I lambda into lambda 1 raised to t plus I. What should be lambda 1 raised to?
Alpha 1 plus t.
Alpha 1 minus I plus t plus I will get cancelled. Alpha 1 plus t, right? And is that okay?
Yes.
And now alpha 1 is in the lambda 1, or first let me write one more step. Y is equal to 0 to alpha 1 ci minus 1 raised to alpha 1 minus I lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 plus t e to the power I e of t. Now this alpha lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 plus t is independent of I, so I can take it out of summation. So summation I is equal to 0 to alpha 1 I minus 1 raised to alpha 1 minus I e raised to I v of t lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 plus t. Now this summation, this, how I can write this? I can write as e minus 1 raised to alpha 1 operated on v of t. I can write again binomial formula I have used for this one. Is that okay? E minus 1 raised to alpha 1 is nothing but summation I is equal to 0 to alpha 1 ci minus 1 raised to alpha 1 e raised to I and v of t as it is. Is that okay? Again
Yes, ma'am.
using binomial formula. So, but what is e minus 1? Alpha 1 plus
Del.
delta raised to alpha 1
Alpha.
v of t, and we are having this e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 ut is equal to 0, right? So from 2, then 2 can be written as then 2 can be written as e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 is nothing but my from 2 we can. From 2. Which is nothing but 0. If I want ut to be solution, right? If ut is solution of equation 2, this must be equal to 0. This whole thing must be equal to 0, right? Is that okay? We have started with if alpha 1 is strictly greater than 1, let ut is equal to lambda 1 raised to t v of t be solution of equation 2. If it is a solution of equation 2 means it will satisfy this equation e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 ut is equal to 0. And since we have taken we have substituted ut is equal to lambda 1 raised to t v of t. Now I want to find v of t which satisfies this equation. Okay. So for what values of v of t, if I take its delta raised to alpha 1, we will get it equal to 0. If v of t is equal to 1, comma t, comma t square and so on t raised to alpha 1 minus 1. Okay. What is delta of 1?
0.
Or t raised to alpha 1 we will say. Alpha 1 is strictly greater than 1. Delta of 1 is 0. Delta raised to alpha 1 of t. If I take
1.
how it will be 1? First order difference will be t plus 1 minus t, but strictly greater than 1. So, or let me take alpha 1 is strictly greater than 1 means say alpha 1 is 3. Alpha 1 is 3. Say alpha 1 is 3. Then what is third order difference of 1? It is also 0. Third order difference of t is what? Delta square of delta t. But delta square of delta t is, so it is delta of delta 1, but it is 0, right? What is delta cube of t square? Delta cube of delta square of delta t square. What is delta t square? Delta t square is t plus 1 bracket square minus t square, right? Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So if I simplify, you can simplify this, and if you take again delta operator on that, you will get again 0. So if order of t is less than this order of delta, then we must have it is equal to 0. So delta raised to n of t raised to n minus 1 is always 0. So if v of t is 1 t square t raised to alpha 1 minus 1, because we are taking its alpha 1th order difference, so we must have is equal to 0. Is that okay?
Yes.
You can check this. Okay. So this is equal to 0 if and only if my Vt is nothing but 1 t square t raised to alpha 1 minus 1. So consequently, equation equation 1 has, what is that equation 1? These are the solutions of 2. What are the solutions? Ut is lambda 1 ut is lambda 1 raised to t into v of t. The solution of equation 2 means where v of t is nothing but 1 comma t square up to alpha 1 minus 1, right? So how many solutions we are having for equation 2? How many solutions we are having? Different solutions we are having. These are alpha 1, right? Alpha 1 solutions for equation 2, and that are nothing but solutions of equation 1 also. Consequently,
Yes, ma'am.
or first I will write this implies ut into vt. Ut is nothing but lambda 1 raised to t into vt, which is that is lambda 1 raised to t comma t into lambda 1 raised to t comma t raised to alpha 1 minus 1 lambda 1 raised to t are alpha 1 solutions of equation 2, right? And this implies these are nothing but alpha 1 solutions of equation 1 also. T raised to alpha 1 minus 1 lambda 1 raised to t are alpha 1 solutions of equation 1 also. If they satisfies 2 means they must satisfy equation 1 also. So these are the solutions of equation 1 also. Is that okay? And which are nothing, yes, and we know that these are linearly independent. These alpha 1 solutions are linearly independent solutions. So if what is my 1? If I take only one part, e minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1, I am getting alpha 1 solution. Similarly, I will take now e minus lambda 2 raised to alpha 2 operated on u of t is equal to 0. It will have alpha 2 linearly independent solutions. Same thing we have to do. Only here lambda 2, and here instead of lambda 1 we have to replace lambda 2, and alpha 1 I have to replace by alpha 2.
Alpha 2.
So I will have here alpha 2 linearly independent solutions, and that will be also solutions of equation 1. So similarly, I will have from this I will have alpha 1 solutions, from this term I will have alpha 2 solutions, from this I will have alpha k linearly independent solutions. So total how many linearly independent solutions I will have? Alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus alpha k means n linearly independent solutions for equation 1. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So by applying the same argument, to each factor of equation 1, we obtain alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus and so on alpha k, which is equal to n linearly independent solutions for equation 1, and which are nothing but the solutions of equation 3.6, or which is nothing but my equation 3.6. That completes the proof. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now remaining things we will see tomorrow. Whether you understood the proof? If I am having nth order homogeneous equation with constant coefficient, then you just write in terms of E operator like this, and then first consider one factor, first factor E minus lambda 1 raised to alpha 1 operated on ut is equal to 0. Its solutions will be this one. There will be alpha 1 linearly independent solutions. Similarly, if you consider second factor, it will have alpha 2 linearly independent solutions, and so on. So if I consider this all factors, I will have n linearly independent solutions, and which are nothing but this. So for alpha 1, I will have this alpha 1 solutions. For second factor, I will have these linearly independent solutions, and for kth factor, I will have these linearly independent solutions. So total n linearly independent solutions for the equation 3.6. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the important theorem. Okay, so tomorrow we will see now examples based on this. Let me download the attendance.